Okay.
Good. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome officially to the Uniprint webinar on the pros and cons of deploying remote print servers on site. I'm Sharon. I have the pleasure of being your chair for this 30-minute overview. And joining me from, well, cloudy Cardiff is Chris. He's Uniprint's EMEA Technical Director. He'll be delivering the presentation shortly. So, Chris, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks, Sharon. Yes, glad to be on board.
This is one hell of a hot topic right now, isn't it? It seems to be like the last remaining bastion of server consolidation.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, this is definitely a hot topic right now, and we've seen a trend over the last couple of years. Yeah, definitely going to be a good topic to talk about today.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we're pretty much, we look like we don't have people joining us straight away now, so I'm going to hand the control over to you. We can see your screen fine and everything. Attendees, please feel free throughout the webinar to type in your questions. I'll do my best to represent you at the end and pose those questions to Chris. We're on a 30-minute schedule, so I'm not going to chat anymore. So, Chris, off you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for taking the time to join us for today's webinar. For those of you who have been part of Sharon and I's Flash&R series before, you'll know that we run a short 30-minute webinar. We call it Flash&R, and the idea is to just give you a high-level overview of a particular topic we've picked. Today we've picked print stream compression, and we're going to be looking at consolidation of remote site print servers. But before we start that, as with all the Flash&Rs, we're just going to have a quick 1-2 minute overview of what we've got in Uniprint Infinity version 9. So just to start with, we're looking at our UPD. So this is a core part of Uniprint, PDF-based and vendor agnostic. So we work with any vendor, and we provide compression within that driver as well. We also have secure printing with the virtual print queue, and this is great for any size deployment where securities are concerned. We can do delegation of print jobs from that queue, and we've also got statistics and archiving straight out of the box. High availability printing, so we can double up on essential print services such as print servers, licensing servers, database servers, and provide a highly available print infrastructure for you and your customers. Print stream compression, I categorize into that area, and this is what we're going to be focusing on today. We also have mobile printing, from iOS, Android, Chromebooks, and email to print, and this will be a hot topic for a future Flash&R, no doubt. So today we are going to concentrate on print stream compression, and this I categorize in with high availability. And as we go through the slides, I'll tell you why, for me, it is part of a high availability structure. So let's take a closer look at print stream compression. What is it? What are we trying to achieve with print stream compression? So traditionally, for example, my first role in IT, remote sites had their own infrastructure, whether it was a server room or a small data center, anything. There was some servers on site to provide local services. These could be anything from file servers. Exchange 5.5 was a classic one I used to have. And the idea was that these services will be close to the users using them, and increase speed, lower the latency. But it was expensive to run this way. The more services you've got decentralized, the more administration time you have to spend going between these sites, the more hardware you require to service the same amount of users. And over a period, probably the last decade, there's been a big drive to consolidate, move these services where possible online. A lot of this has moved very nicely. I mean, it's very rare now to see an Exchange server on a remote site. Everything seems to have moved over to public or private cloud, Office 365 being a great example of more recent times. But the print servers is what we're going to discuss today, and they've remained stubborn. And this is mainly because print data tends to be big. So if you have a print server in a central location, it becomes difficult to push the print data over to a remote site. And this is why now, if we are looking at customers with lots of remote sites, we still see them with print servers running. So the topic for today will be how we can get around this problem and how we can get these print servers off the remote site and get them into the data center. So print stream compression, we move that print server into the data center, and what we can do is to keep the performance in line with what it was when it was in the remote site. We use a print appliance called the WEBCAST to do compression and other services to optimize printing. So we have this WEBCAST, and of course now we've taken the print server out of the remote site. We can put that into the data center, and typically then this can be put onto highly available hardware, VMware clusters, things like that. So this allows us to protect those services at the hardware level, which wouldn't typically be possible in the remote site. The WEBCAST itself is it's a low cost, low power, low maintenance unit. If it breaks, which you'll be glad to hear, we haven't had many instances of, they're pretty reliable, very reliable actually. These units, if one does break down for whatever reason though, it's very easy to replace. Nothing nowhere near as complex as a server. We can just swap one of these out via post. You can use multiple WEBCASTs, so obviously these devices are a lot less powerful than a print server, but they're doing a lot less under the hood than a print server as well. But we won't get into that detail today. But they do have less capacity than a print server, but you can use multiples of them. So they are scalable to your requirements as well. So the big benefit of using this is the compression, and we can achieve very high levels of print compression using this. So compared to just sending the data straight from the data center to a printer, sending it via the WEBCAST can achieve compression rates of over 95%. So we can get very high levels of compression by sending the data this way. So WEBCAST is a term I've mentioned, and here we have a list of the hardware devices that we call WEBCAST. So the first one we've got here is the WEBCAST CE. So this is our smallest device, has no screen, and this one is just used for the compression engine. Going across to the right, we have the WEBCAST Touch. This one's only used for secure printing, not a topic for today, but this is the other role for the device, and this one just does that. And we've got the WEBCAST Pro on the far right, and this one is the one that can do the role of the other two. So this is compression and secure printing in one unit. If I just bring this up here, we can see that these are the roles we're concentrating on today, and these are the devices that can do it. So if you're looking to implement print stream compression alongside secure printing as well, then obviously the WEBCAST Pro is the best option because it does both. If you're just looking for the compression, then the WEBCAST CE is the better option there. Okay, so you're implementing print stream compression, and there's a couple of reasons you might be doing it, and one of them may be cost savings. This is something we just touched on earlier, but why bother moving the services out of the remote site if they operate okay? And one of those may be the running costs. The WEBCASTs themselves consume about 4 to 5 watts of power, and when you compare that to the average consumption of a print server, somewhere in the 200 watts range. I personally think that would be a bit higher, but I think that's a conservative amount. So just in running costs alone, you're saving a lot of money there. You add on to that the fact that even in a little server room, you need some sort of air conditioning unit. You've got the cost of the maintenance, lots of moving parts, hard drives, disk drives, all the other components involved in their fans. A server takes a lot of looking after, and when you have multiples of these spread out in a wide geographic area across the UK, Europe, even globally, the cost spirals. So replacing them with this small, low-powered unit, cheap to buy, cheap to run, is cost-effective. And Uniprint have done some calculations, and with just in the power reduction, and the maintenance overhead reduction, this unit will just pay for itself within 6 months. Again, I think that's conservative. I think this unit can pay for itself a lot quicker, especially the CE model, which is particularly low cost. So this extract here is actually from a white paper that we've done on this topic, the same as the webinar, and that will be available to you after this webinar. Also, deployment. So if you're looking at IT deployment, recently, last year, Server 2003 went end of life. This caused a bit of a panic in a lot of IT departments because all of the remote site print servers tend to be 2003, and they've been stably running, on that. So they've got, there has to be a change. Things have to, these servers have to be upgraded. And I was involved with quite a few projects and witnessed firsthand the logistics pain of, of upgrading hardware, moving, and getting these things upgraded when they were in odd locations. And of course, this problem could be circumvented by changing the device we've got out there. So rather than a full-blown server and the high overheads that come with that, we could have used the VPADs, which we could have posted to a site. A non-administrator can set these up as long as they're pre-configured with the connection details. Anyone can plug these in. It's an Ethernet cable and a power cable, and online they come. Once they're online, they're connected into the data center, and all the administration is centralized. So going forward, there's a much lower cost of ownership and much easier deployment. Now here we can see an extract from NACRO, which was a case study we had from last year, and you see how easily they found it was to deploy the VPAD units with them only about 10 minutes to get them up and running in the sites, and they managed to deploy 50% of their sites very quickly. I think they've done the others now. So this greatly simplifies that area, which of course is a massive benefit to any organization. So just recapping the benefits, we've got the ease of deployment, fire and forget, just send these units out, pre-configured, in they go. They don't need any complex VPN setups or anything like that. You don't have to have firewall rules on the remote site. You can just send one of these devices out in the post, and there's no technical competence needed to get these up and running. Perfect. We've got software updates as well. So let's say you buy into this this great idea, and and Uniprint release a software update. Now you've got 200 VPADs in various locations around Europe. How are you going to get them all updated? Well, we've got that covered. It's all centralized. So if there is an update to Uniprint, it goes into the central image and it's pushed out to all these devices automatically. So we can keep things up to date. The idea is you should never need to go to one of these devices unless you're using it for secure print. Well, obviously you need to authenticate it, or if it needs some attention. So all the administration is centralized. And scalability and cost. So we were just removing those print servers is just really cutting down on the overheads, and we can significantly cut down costs by moving that print server hardware into a data center, putting it on some sort of hypervisor, virtualizing it, making it safe and secure. And the compression then we'll make sure that you don't have a big impact on the performance of this setup. So there's a bit of talk in there. Let's move over to a demo. Now, the actual demo of print stream compression isn't particularly exciting because a lot of it is seamless, as you'd expect. You know, the user doesn't get involved in the compression part of it. So once it's set up, you know, to the user, they hit print and their document comes out of a printer. There's nothing for them to select or interface with. So I'm just going to show you the back end where it's actually configured for the administrator, and then we'll look at some stats I collected earlier in the week. So let's jump out of here. All right, so let's just jump onto a desktop session. Okay, so we've just got a quick desktop session here, and I'm going to go from here onto, so this is print 03, which is my print server, obviously. Let's just go into this. We can see on here I've got some print queues. So print stream compression is actually configured on the print server, straight from the print queues themselves. So if I go here, I've got 3 printers, Office 1, 2, and 3. These are 3 physical printers we've got in the office. And typically, these printers would be set up onto a TCP/IP port, which would be a standard network port used for printing. And this print data is not really optimized, it's just sent as raw. Port 9100 hits the printer and the printer prints it out. And you can see those print queues here existing. With print stream compression, the port changes from a standard TCP/IP port over to a Uniprint transport port, which is these ones we've got here. So if I come into this one here and configure, we can see the properties of the port. So a couple of bits to note on here. We've got the VPAD selection. So this is where we select the remote site VPAD. So obviously I can have quite a long list of these. I've got a lot of remote sites. So in here I select the one I want to send the data to. This would be the one where the compressed data is streamed to this VPAD. Once it's decompressed, we specify the printer we want the data to go to. So I can reuse this VPAD multiple times and have different destination printers. For example, in our office, we've got 1 VPAD and we have 3 different printers coming off it. So 1 VPAD, multiple printers, so they're suitable for a site. We've got the compression slider, and I'll talk about this when we look at the results, but we kind of choose either a higher rate of compression or a lower rate of compression, depending on our requirements for what kind of bandwidth we've got available to a site. We've got some stats on the compression we're achieving, and these are on the fly. We can, if we're doing testing or if we want to just review what we're getting, we can come to this page. SNMP traps are forwarded through from the remote side through the VPAD connection up into the print server as well. So if there is anything like a paper jam or the printer's offline, that information will successfully get routed through and up. So actually that's pretty much it. Once you move these printers over, the print data that's spooled through them will get compressed and sent over to a VPAD. So it's a very easy to configure feature for Uniprint. So let's move off the print server now, and I just want to take you through to some stats that were collected. So here we have we've got 3 printers in the office, and over this week I've seen sending a couple of jobs to them with some various settings, and I just wanted to show you the kind of numbers we're collecting here. So we've got the free printers. These numbers are in megabytes, so you can see we, obviously not a huge amount of data I'm pushing through these because it is only me in the office doing the printing, so there wasn't a huge amount of data to be pushed. But let's take a look at Office printer number 1. Here we've got the highest rate of compression that was achieved, so it was 94.67. I did have it pushed all the way up to level 9 for the compression, and I was printing just text-based documents. Now, as everyone knows with compression, if you take a JPEG and zip it, it's a 1 meg JPEG, you'll get a 1 meg zip file. It's, you know, there's hardly any compression to achieve on that. You have a 1 meg text file and you put it through WinZip, you'll end up with a couple of K zip file where you get very high levels of compression. And the same is pretty much true for our print stream compression. What you put in and what you get out depends very much on the factors such as whether it was text, whether there were images, what the format was, things like that. So there's this one was mainly text files which were being compressed, and we can see we achieved a high level of compression here. Office Printer 2, I believe I was putting through the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation that you're seeing today. So there was a good mix of graphics and text in there. Yeah, compression drops down. I left this one on 6, and 6 is the default setting. A good balance between speed and resources used. The higher the compression rate is, the more CPU cycles needed to do the compression. So you push the number up, you do slow down the time and then increase the amount of resources needed to create the compressed files. So 6 is the kind of middle ground, and you can see we've got about 55% compression, which is pretty good, you know, for the type of document I was compressing. Office Printer 3, 78, I can't really remember what I was putting through this. I think I had it down low. It might have been a Word document. I think it was one of our quick guide documents, and you know we've got a good level of compression on here as well. But if you were doing this in your environment, what you're really interested in is taking an average. So you know I add them all up, and we get about 59% compression, and this is kind of in line with what I'd expect to see from this. You know, 60 to 80% compression on average across your documents. I would say that you know you're doing well. If you're getting higher than 80, great. Lower than 60, then possibly we need to look at what factors are causing problems. The type of documents that are being put through, or the type of drivers that are being used can sometimes have an effect. But on here we can just see as a graph. Yeah, you can see clearly that the amount of raw data, the amount of compressed data compared to the amount of raw data is significantly cut by implementing the print stream compression. So with that, I'm just going to jump out of here, log off, right, and let's get back to the presentation. And that actually concludes my part here. Like I said, this is just a flash now, a quick overview, and you know we can obviously, if anyone wants to take things any more depth, we can set up a follow-up meeting at any point. Okay, Sharon, I'll hand back to you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for the demo as well. We've had some nice interactions throughout the online meeting, so I'm pretty jealous on a light note to note that Juan Carlos, attending from Spain, is not only enjoying your presentation, Chris, he's also got a beautiful summer, spring, Spanish day out there. So anyway, we've also had 3 or 4 questions have arrived in. In fact, another one's just come in now, so let's bang on with those.
Yeah, sure.
First question. Do any firewall ports require opening for this to work?
Right, firewalls, yeah. So this is a great solution in terms of firewalls, because as infrastructure engineers, we hate firewalls because we got to get someone to open them. The good thing about this is it does obviously need some firewall ports opened, and on the server side, so on the data center side, you need to have 2 ports open. TCP 10208 and TCP 10212 need to be open. One of them is for the VPAD to connect, the other one's for us to send print data through. But the really good news is on the remote side, the client side, which is a real nuisance to do any firewall changes on, no ports required open. So not on the receiving way. So yeah, it's just 2 ports to open to get this working.
Okay. When is the VPAD Touch available? Real quick one.
VPAD Touch is available now. Yeah, I think it was started coming out last week or 2 weeks ago, so it's pretty new. It's a touch screen. I think it's a capacitive screen as well, so it's a lot lighter, a lot brighter, I think, than the other ones. It's a good device. It's available now. Yeah.
A good on-topic question there from Sylvester, so thank you for that. Okay, another one. Do I always need to use a VPAD, or can I get the compression software built into a printer, Chris?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for the compression, we have to have the VPAD because, so for secure printing, we do have connectors. They're web-based pieces of software that go into the MFDs, and we can do the secure printing using those. But for the compression, it's more integrated. You know, it needs access to the hardware, which we can't really do easily with the print vendors. So for them, to actually do the decompression piece, you do always need our hardware. Of course, with the introduction of the VPAD CE, which is a small, low-powered device, that does become quite easy. You can just plug one of these in behind a big MFD, and it'll provide the decompression service. But yes, okay, for the MFDs, you will need our hardware in addition.
Okay, what about Microsoft Azure? So questions come in fact 2 questions on the same topic really. When you're running Microsoft Azure, does the VPAD get deployed locally?
Yes, yes. So if you're in Azure, the VPAD's on your on the local site. You need to have a print server in your Azure platform, and you need to have those ports we mentioned open in Azure also. Yep. But then, yeah, you could send your compressed data out of the Azure cloud down to the remote site and via the VPAD. And of course, you could tie that in with the secure print. But I don't want to get too caught up in that. But you can have your VPAD and you can do your secure printing. You can actually have both of them running. So you can do secure print, but when you collect a job from the Azure cloud, you can stream it down via the VPAD compressed as well. So this can all be tied in together.
Okay. Fantastic. And if anyone else is interested, we actually have just completed an Azure white paper, so working within Azure. So if anyone wants that, just drop me a note afterwards and I'll get that to you. One more question, if we've got time for it, Chris, sorry. Does it support Wi-Fi? It's a good question. Does it support Wi-Fi?
Compression, no, because the CE and the Pro don't. But actually, the new VPAD, sorry, the new VPAD, yeah, does have a Wi-Fi unit, I think. So Wi-Fi for secure print, but not for the compression at the moment. No. If it's a big requirement for someone, you know, we could look into it. But you know, as this device sits on the LAN. And you know, it would typically be plugged into either the LAN or into a router, you know, direct. So there's not a big requirement for it at the moment.
Okay. Okay, I think you just had it on screen there, actually, Chris. I think you just flashed it up. That's the fellow. So, I mean, just to mention that all attendees will be receiving this Practical Considerations, a remote site printing booklet that we've developed. So this is your handy hints and tips booklet for use back at base, so I'll make sure that everybody gets that. And if you needed the Microsoft Azure one, again, just let me know. Some of you already have, so thank you. Okay, so my last job really, Chris, is to thank you for presenting, and to you all who've attended online, to thank you as well for your time joining us, and we'll be following up after the online webinar is finished. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Bye. Bye.